Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, India.
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone, and we welcome Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, IAS, ma'am. So, Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, IAS, is a composite public policy professional, a true versalist. She wears many hats: practitioner, policymaker, scholar, author, volunteer, and mother. She secured the 19th rank in All India Combined Civil Services Examination 1987. Her 33-year work experience in the IAS service spans land administration, urban management, public distribution system, sports, rural development, youth, training and education. She is now the Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Youth Empowerment and Sports, Government of Karnataka. Dr. Kalpana is recipient of the Mother Teresa Women Empowerment Award for outstanding contribution to excellence in leadership, the International Human Rights Award under the Women of Courage category 2019, the Sexy Brilliant COVID Leadership Award, and the Social International Human Rights, the Social Activist Pratibha Samman 2020. She was recognized as a great warrior of humanity by the International Human Rights Advisory Council for her outstanding performance, commitment, contribution, and dedication towards the humanitarian services and the best practices on COVID 19 prevention 2020, and was appreciated by UNICEF and the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences for support in COVID 19 response 2020. She is a LinkedIn Wonder Woman and inspirational leader. She was facilitated and awarded citations, commendations, and appreciations by the Bangalore University, NITTE University, Yenapoya University, Mysore University, IJASRW, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Vishwakarma Institute of Technology. We lead empowering women's growth. Gulbarga University, Jain University, Ramaya Institute of Technology, Acharya Institutions, Milkote Academy of Sanskrit, Sheshadripuram Trust, SJES Institutions, Honorary Consul, Republic of Maldives, and Institution of Engineers of India. She stewarded the Alaman UNESCO 2000 Award for Karnataka with her work in literary and the Karnataka Ratna Award 2013 for Kaveri Handicrafts. She is advisor, Bangalore City Corporation, honorary consultant, Administrative Training Institute, Mysore, member advisory committee, public sector advisory, Grant Thornton LLP, and member advisory board. She is also chairman of Aspirants International Foundation and founder of Achievers Academy Bangalore. Dr. Kalpana Gopalan IAS is a professional entrepreneur, educator, speaker, author, consultant, educational consultant, educator, educator, university
I think Anshu ma'am is having some
Ye-
connectivity issues
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
house.
Can you hear me? Shall we
Maybe
go
just
straight into the presentation? But
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
yeah, but the presentation, unfortunately, I could not share it from my screen. So again, it has to be shared from her screen. Can any of you open
I
her
think I
mail?
will be joining. Uh, Maybe Anshu ma'am will be joining shortly. I'm just assuming that.
Okay.
Uh, in the meanwhile, maybe we can have four words from you, ma'am. And we've heard so much about you from the presentation. So maybe you can
Why
tell us
don't we do
a bit
this?
of
That
yes.
no. Normally we have the Q&A at the end, but we can have, if any questions are there from anyone, you can ask me now instead of at the end of the session.
I mean, in general, I see that you really love and enjoy what you're doing. So it really reflects in the kind of recognition that you
Your
got.
voice isn't very clear
Really
either.
inspiring.
Little louder, Sujit.
Is it? Okay. Is it better now, ma'am?
Yes, I mean I can still hear you,
Hello?
but it's not, the clarity is
Is
not
it better
there.
now?
Not very clear.
Maybe somebody else
Okay,
wants
let
to
me
ask a
try.
question. Please
Let
feel
us
free.
see whether I can
I
make my presentation. Then perhaps we can just go plow into the. I think let's see whether you are able to see my presentation.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
oh
The
yes, ma'am.
presentation
Yes,
is
ma'am.
visible?
Yes.
Great, because I can't see it,
Yes.
so I'm just
We
going
are
to
able to. We are yes.
flow in, okay?
It's visible, ma'am.
It is.
You
It is.
can start, ma'am.
It is here.
Great, yeah, great. Okay. Uh, Wish you all a very good morning. And let me at the outset wish you the very best in your efforts to crack the civil services
Thank you,
exam.
ma'am.
The Indian Administrative Service is the dream career of millions of aspirants, and therefore I wish you all the very best in your efforts to join the civil service. My agenda is as follows. I will begin with a brief introduction to the IAS. I will then describe the format of the exam. Next, I will explore why the CSC is considered so tough. Anshu was telling me before we began that so many of you are under so much stress. So let's see why, the reason why this exam is considered so tough and gives so much stress to all the aspirants. And I will also provide some pointers as to how to crack the exam. Then I will speak of the post-entry training. And we will move on to how the IAS is not just a job, but a way of life. And I will offer you some takeaways on how to live that life from my own career experience of the last 33 years. So let me begin with a brief introduction to the Indian Administrative Service. Formed in 1946, the IAS is the premier of the three All India services, the other two being the Indian Police Service and the Indian Forest Service. There are approximately 5,000 officers in position, though this figure is dynamic. It changes from year to year with retirements and new inductions. About 2/3 of IAS officers are direct recruits. The rest are promotees from state cadres. IAS officers hold office at the pleasure of the President of India. The cadre management of the IAS is done by the Department of Personnel and Training, Government of India. At the top of the hierarchy of IAS officers is the Cabinet Secretary at the central level, the union level, and the Chief Secretary in the state governments, followed by the Secretary, Additional Secretary, Joint Secretary, Director, Deputy Secretary, and Under Secretary. What is the present format of the civil service exam in India? Some details of the examination have undergone changes since my time, but the broad format remains the same. The UPSC, the Union Public Service Commission, is the agency which takes care of the entire recruitment process. Recruitment to 24 services, not just the All India services, but 24 services, including the All India services. That is the Indian Police Service and several Group A and Group B services, and central services like the Indian Foreign Service, Indian Audit and Account Service, Customs and Income Tax Service are all conducted via a common examination called the UPSC Civil Services Exam, or the CSC for short. This exam is conducted in two stages. Stage 1 is the preliminary examination, which is held in June every year, and the results are announced in August. Stage 2 is the main examination, and this comprises two parts. The written examination, which is held in October every year, and the results are announced in January, and the personality test, popularly called the interview, which is held in March. Final results are usually announced in May. Now, most candidates take several attempts to crack the exam. General category candidates are allowed 6 attempts, OBC have 9 attempts, and SC/ST candidates are allowed unlimited attempts until they reach 37 years of age. There are several eligibility conditions, including age, which ranges from 32 upwards, depending on category, citizenship, which includes some other nations along with India, and education, which is generally an undergraduate degree, but includes other qualifications like ICAI, MBBS, and so on. What makes the CSC one of the toughest examinations in the world, and how can you crack it? Well, the CSC is tough to my mind, chiefly because of the competition. When I wrote the exam in 1987, over 1 lakh candidates appeared and only about 100 made it to the IAS. Second, the examination process itself is very long and excruciating. It stretches over a whole year, and one sits in the actual examination for about 32 hours from the prelims till the interview, and so it requires staying power and stamina. Third, the content can be wide-ranging. It tests knowledge, aptitude, and attitude. All this makes the CSC daunting for an aspirant. Can you all hear me? Just say yes.
Yes,
so
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Great.
We can.
So that I have not lost you. Now, how do you prepare for the CSC? Uphill climb though it is not an insurmountable civils. Let me begin with some general tips, and then we will move on to specific strategies. In my experience, what is most important is very simple. It is hard work. The prelims and mains test your knowledge and analytical skills, so regular and diligent preparation is a must. Maintain regular hours and study every day. These are some pointers which I have put up on the screen to help you. A well-formulated strategy, optimum time management, familiarity with the optional syllabi, thorough insight of the question papers, selection of books, preparing short notes of important topics with relevant points and revising them just before the examination, going through your notes regularly and rigorously, a good sleep every day, never go through any new book or any new topic on the eve of the examination, do not lose your confidence at any time, and have specific strategies for general knowledge, electives, and interview. For the electives, your preparation within the boundaries of the syllabus should be thorough. It is not enough to have +2 level knowledge. An undergraduate level competence may be enough, but master's level will be definitely useful, especially when you face questions that you did not expect. This happened to me. One of the questions was what I had skipped, but I wrote because of my general understanding of the subject as a whole, because I had a master's level understanding. For the general knowledge papers, you must have more than a passing acquaintance with current affairs, international relations, and their implications and repercussions over a period of a year. So television is not enough, and nowadays television is best avoided. You should read good newspapers and periodicals. At the same time, please remember that a civil's preparation is not like doctoral research. I have done both, so I can tell the difference. You need not have the kind of in-depth knowledge of all the scholarship on the subject as a PhD demands. What an intelligent, informed citizen knows and understands, that is your study plan. The third stage is the interview. Officially, it is called a personality test. And the objective of the interview is to assess the personal suitability of the candidate for a career in public service by a board of competent and unbiased observers. The test is intended to evaluate the mental caliber of the candidate. In broad terms, this is an assessment not only of a candidate's intellectual qualities, but also social traits and interest in current affairs. Some of the qualities to be judged are mental alertness, critical powers of assimilation, clear and logical exposition, balance of judgment, variety and depth of interest, ability for social cohesion and leadership, and intellectual and moral integrity. Now, the technique of the interview is not of a cross-examination. It is not a courtroom. You are not facing a jury or a hostile advocate. It is of a natural but directed and purposeful conversation that is intended to reveal your mental qualities. The interview is not intended to test either the specialized or the general knowledge of the candidate, which has already been tested through the written papers. Candidates are expected to have taken an intelligent interest not only in their subjects of special study, their electives, and also their academic study, but also in the events that are happening around them, both within and outside their own state and country, as well as modern currents of thought and new discoveries which should rouse the curiosity of all well-educated youth. The interview standards are very high and require thorough preparation as well as commitment. So, in preparation for the interview, don't just read, but also spend time thinking about what you read. To summarize, the interview guidelines are as follows. The interview tests you for your ideas and your opinions. Speak your mind and express your views fearlessly. Practice in mock discussion groups and participate in them actively. Thorough knowledge of your subjects helps. If you are working, thorough knowledge of your profession helps too. Knowledge and opinions about your stated hobbies is important. So don't claim something which you don't understand. Prepare for situational questions, how you will solve a problem situation, and don't be hyper or interrupt. This is a common mistake. Don't do that. So let's now pass on to the next stage. You cross the prelims, cross the mains, come through the interview, and you have entered the service. What happens next? Once you are in, the training begins. The Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, LBSNAA for short, in Mussoorie, is India's premier institution dedicated to training officers of the country's higher civil services. LBSNAA conducts induction level training to members of the All India Services and Central Services Group A through a common foundation course. So it's a big mela. All of us gathered together in Mussoorie at the time for the foundation course. Once the FC is over, LBSNAA conducts induction level and post-entry professional training for officers of the Indian Administrative Service programs, which includes 1 year in the academy and 1 year district training. Subsequently, the LBSNAA also conducts mid-career training for the IAS. Now, this question arises, what happens to the other services after the foundation course? Each service goes to its respective academy. The police go to Hyderabad, the foreign service goes to Delhi. So you have many such institutions specialized for that particular service, and they all move to their specialized training. Now, today you are grappling with the question, to be or not to be a civil servant. Will I clear the CSE or will I not? But a few years from today, you would have entered the prestigious pantheon of the IAS. What does becoming an IAS officer and being an IAS officer entail? A service officer performs a variety of functions. She handles affairs of government, both the framing and the implementation of policy. Implementation of policies calls for supervision and also traveling to places of implementation. It also entails disbursement of funds, which calls for personal supervision. There's a high level of financial accountability. IAS officers are answerable to the Parliament and the state legislatures. What is significant? And this is important. An officer's functions and responsibilities change at different points in her career. At the beginning of her career, she joins the state administration at the subdivisional level as a subdivisional magistrate, subdivisional officer, assistant commissioner, assistant collector. It is variously called, has different names in different states. And there, as assistant commissioner or subdivisional magistrate, she looks after law and order, general administration, and development work. At the district level, IAS officers work as district magistrates or district collectors or deputy commissioners. And this is a prestigious and visible post with responsibility for district affairs, including implementation of law and order, magistracy, and developmental programs. Officers also serve in the state secretariat as heads of departments or in public service undertakings. IAS officers may move from positions at the state under deputation to the center and then back again. At both the central and the state governments, their work involves formulation and implementation of policy. Policy formulation and decision making is done by officers at various levels, like the deputy secretary, the joint secretary, who all make their contributions. The final shape to the policy or a final decision is taken with the concurrence of the minister by the secretary or the cabinet depending upon the gravity of the issue. Being in the IAS, the job is stressful but satisfying. There is a lot of variety in public interface and public contact. The problems are overwhelming, but solutions are possible. You will witness corruption, nepotism, might is right, but you can uphold the rule of law. What keeps you going, and this is true of me and many others as well, is the love and affection of the people at large who you meet day to day and interact with on a daily basis. From the moment you are in, the question arises, what sort of civil servant should I be? And this is a question you will grapple with for the rest of your career. You will hear a lot about integrity, fearlessness, incorruptibility, neutrality, and so on. You will also watch bemused as those who extol those high ideals for you fail to practice it themselves, so they don't practice what they preach. So I will speak to you from the corner of pragmatism. We civil servants are practitioners, doers, not philosophers or ideators. So pragmatism is right up our alley. Having said that, let me gather up some random pragmatic pearls of wisdom to share with you. First, learn to deal with expectations, both your own expectations and the expectations of those around you. Again and again, you will find yourself in situations where you have had very little preparation, advice, or support. But you need to deal with the situation then and there, and you need to solve the problem. Everyone within and outside the system will be looking up to you for guidance. There will be others who will be just waiting for you to make a mistake. Many years ago, I was posted as Deputy Commissioner of the new district of Udupi. At that time, my Chief Secretary Riley observed, wherever you stand, that is the district. He was sadly prescient. The entire population of the district, politicians, public, the intelligentsia that Udupi is known for, expected that the Deputy Commissioner would wave a magic wand and the new district will magically manifest. Unfortunately, that is not the speed with which the wheels of the government turn. There were no precedents. I had to forge my own path, and it took time, patience, and effort, a lot of goodwill, and a lot of persuasion. But it was done. It proved to be one of the most fulfilling postings of my career. Second, nothing substitutes for presence. This pithy maxim encapsulates a number of things, so let us dissect it. Shortly after you join your new post, your office will try to house train you. Don't let it do so. Bring the value of your newness, your fresh perspective to your work, that is, your particular value add. See for yourself, read for yourself, listen to advice, but decide for yourself. The best way to do this is through field work. In the age of technology, it is very easy to create an illusion of awareness by data collection and data display in the confines of your office. You will also find many officers send you complex computer pyrotechniques, all color-coded and diagrammatic. But when you visit the field, that is a whole different reality. The IAS is one job that gives you the luxury of exploring every nook and corner of your jurisdiction in reasonable comfort. I know many academics who long to have these opportunities, they cannot because they don't have a Gram Sahayak to show the way or a Tasildar who will see that they are well fed. But you do. So, roam your own piece of earth and you will learn to love the people whom you have come to serve, and you will enhance your own efficiency while doing so. My third point is somewhat contrary to what I said before. I would like you to use technology as much as possible for public service delivery. You are uniquely fortunate in entering the service at the cusp of the old and the new India. So you can use the advantages of both. Karnataka has pioneered many technological innovations in public service like Bhumi, Mobile One, e-Mandi, e-procurement, to name just a few. I'm sure you will be able to find ways to customize these innovations to your workspace, but also come up with new innovations designed by you. Above all, if you succeed in routinizing technology, making it an ordinary quotidian part of your and your office's daily functions, that will be your greatest contribution. You may enter public service at a time when the system as well as the environment around you will become highly or already has become highly politicized. The levels of scrutiny of your professional and personal conduct by the media, the courts, various formal and non-formal watchdog agencies are as never before. In such a milieu, the importance of ethics is doubly important. I spoke of expectations. Keep your own expectations low. I spoke of idealism versus pragmatism. Today, good conduct and ethics are not just a function of idealism. They are a pragmatic necessity. Keep yourself clean. Keep your conduct above board. You will be able to take tough decisions. You may not be able to please everyone, but you need not be shy of being firm. But when you act tough, act right, be well prepared. Proper justification and documentation will protect you. Try to be kind. Everyone around you is facing her or his own struggles. So even when you speak truth to power and to the powerless, be gentle. As my senior said to me so many years ago, Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, na bruyat satyam apriyam, priyam cha nanrutam bruyat, isha dharmaha sanatanaha. Speak truth in such a way that it should be pleasing to others. Never speak truth which is unpleasant to others. Never speak untruth which may be pleasant. This is the path of eternal morality, Sanatana Dharma. Thank you all and good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a doubt, ma'am.
Yeah.
After making any policy, how government will implement from roots onwards, in the sense from rural areas onwards, any opposition leader conflict will happen in that area. What you will do, ma'am?
Okay. See, when a policy is first formulated, it goes through a very long process. Most policies are not just, done blindly. We go through a draft policy is prepared and we go through a process of taking feedback. You would have noticed if you look at Government of India websites in particular, they even put it up for receiving public feedback. So we too, for example, in my office, we formulated the sports policy. Now we are formulating a policy for the use of public sports facilities. We have stadia, we have, so many other gyms, public gyms which we run. So for the use of those, we are formulating a policy. What we do is we make a draft policy which itself passes through several levels It first is formulated by the cutting edge level is the head of department. Then it comes to the secretary, which is my level.
Okay.
And before it is, formulated or finalized, it is published, and we receive public feedback. In fact, that 1 month's time is given to the public to give their own reactions, their objections, and their feedback, if any. Then we go through the process of examining that, and then we change the policy depending on the feedback. Then it moves up to the cabinet. So at a state or central level, it passes through many levels, as well as a process of taking public as well as official feedback before it is formulated. This is the first stage. When it actually goes out for implementation, then the responsibility is to the respective officers. For example, in my department, we take sports, then the responsibility is that of the CEO of the Zilla Panchayat and the Assistant Director Sports, who is at the district level. They too may find that some things may work or may not work. So then they send their feedback. There is always the freedom to come back to your secretary or come back to your head of department saying this particular aspect does not work. For example, we hold Dasara sport every year, right? It's a special event. Now, one particular year, they decided to hold the Dasara sports at the state level only, without going through a many tired level. Now, the public came back to us and said, no, this is not the way. We want that from village level selection is done so that everybody can participate. So the next year, we again modified and we started holding a multi-tiered Dasara sports, and that was a great success. So there are, it's an iterative thing. There's nothing rigid and fixed in stone. Remember, all this is policy. It is not law. Acts and rules are different things. Policies are implementable, and that is the most important thing. So that is how we go about it. I hope that clarified the question.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
thank you, ma'am.
So we open the floor for students to ask their queries with madam.
Are you able to see me? Because I can't see myself.
Yes.
So there's some little glitch here. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am. At the outset, thank you very much for this excellent
My pleasure.
session.
My pleasure.
We really, got enriched with right from the inception till how it functions. You really covered it absolutely brilliantly, I would say. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure interacting with you.
Thank you.
Getting enlightened. My question is, you did cover a bit of it about the age limit and the number of attempts and everything. I give a brief about myself. I'm an ex-defense officer, a lieutenant commander in the Indian Navy. I've been trained and a short service commissioned officer. So you said 37 years of age for the IAS. Is there a relaxation for the same? I was asking Anshu ma'am the same. And so we were just about finding out. So I retired last year. And now I head an MNC and look after their US operations as well. But like you said, the pleasure of doing something for our own people is entirely different. And after wearing the uniform for 10 long years, I would actually like to come back and do better and try and get into the administrative services as well. So would you be aware, ma'am? I know it's off the
Yeah, I'll have to check. We do have officers from the defense services coming to us, but I'm this point about age relaxation. I'm not sure. Maybe Anshu may be able to answer that query, perhaps. Anshu, is there an age relaxation for short service commission officers? You have muted your mic.
Yeah, so there's an age relaxation in state civil services, and we have to check actually his queries. So,
excuse me, ma'am. There is 5 years age relaxation.
5 years.
5 years age relaxation to defense retired personnel.
Great. So that answers your question. But let me also add, is that Sujit Hiramat? Is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sujit, yes.
See, things are very different from my time when, options were limited. And if you had an interest in public service, government was the only option available to you. It was broadly, the IAS or medicine or engineering, and medicine you practice, and engineering you enter a company or corporate sector, and IAS you enter public service. Today, that those the silos are disappearing. You may find that in your private capacity you may be able to exercise your social responsibility much more effectively than we can within the constraints which government service imposes upon you. So since I think you already had 2 careers, think
Yes, ma'am.
carefully. You're welcome to enter the public service, but public service is not confined to the civil services anymore. The NGO sector is available. There's
Yes,
a lot which you can do as an individual. So I would I would feel that we should stop thinking that social responsibility is prerogative or the responsibility of government alone. It's everyone's burden today. So all of us have to do
correct,
it.
ma'am. Yeah. I would absolutely agree with you on that. Yeah. But the kind of authority that you, like you said, right, the iterative, right from the formulative process, and then it goes to iterative process, and then we can implement and do good, greater good for everybody.
Certainly.
Really excites, and
Certainly, the IAS
So,
gives you a lot of scope, and it's a very
so much.
structured way. Yeah. But all of you, this applies to all of you. Please don't think that social responsibility is the burden of public servants alone. All of us are public servants. And it's high time that we realize that as citizens, we can and should do much more than we do.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sujit, and thank you so much, ma'am, for answering his queries. So do we have any other questions? We'll take 1 or 2 more questions and then we'll wind up.
Good morning, ma'am. I have a question that how to stay motivated throughout the preparation, especially when we are working now, ma'am. It feels quite. It's a common question. I know, ma'am.
It has to come from within. Okay, you should have that. It's not even a question of motivation. It is just a question of staying the course. See, so hard work, discipline, and diligence is actually much more relevant than say staying motivated. Motivation will come and go. So it's just do your regular hours every day. That you earmark this many hours. I did a lot of preparation, but I wasn't working when I started preparing for the exam. But I had joined as a doctoral scholar in IIT Madras at that time. So I was kind of doing my PhD studies and doing my IAS preparation at the same time. Subsequently, I had to leave IIT because when I joined the IAS, I had to move out, and I completed my doctorate much later from IIM Bangalore. The thing is that it's not a question of just earmark those regular hours and stick to them every day and prepare those notes so that you need not go through. Anshu was commenting how that very vastness of the syllabus itself, literally anything under the sun or literally anything that the subject can cover can come in your question paper. So you need 2 things, that you need a broad understanding of your subject, and you need those specific topics where you are well versed enough, enough to write a good answer. You simply don't need to go into every item of scholarship as you have to do for a PhD. This is a mistake, common mistake, which many aspirants for the IAS or the civil services do, that you think it is akin to doctoral research. Since I've done doctoral research, it's a very different kind of study which is required. Here you need to be able to know the basics and think about it and write intelligently. And stick to regular hours, get a good sleep. Don't bother about motivation. Motivation and these things will come and go. You just have to stick to it. And if
So
motivation is a problem today, when you're preparing, then when you come into the service, it will be, hell to pay.
True, ma'am. True,
Because
ma'am.
every day is a challenge and there are so many days of struggle and frustration. It's never an easy job. It's a stressful job. So
Thank you, ma'am.
just take motivation for granted.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Vidyashri, for asking this question, and thank you so much, ma'am, for answering her queries. And do we have any other questions? I would like to ask one question, ma'am. So basically, we get a lot of students, and uh, most of them they come after engineering or after their graduation. So I asked them before taking their admission that why do you want to become IAS? Okay, they are not able to reply. And the same question they ask in the interview board as well, that why you want to become IAS after doing engineering or MBBS or CA. So what do you think that what should be the students' answer, or what should be the students' perception to enter into IAS so that they can do justice, because these are public services, and again, as you told, that it is a very stressful job as well. So what should be the answer or the perception?
You should, in your own mind, you should be clear as to why you want to enter the service, and it's better to be honest about it. If we only speak of high ideals of public service, uh, you may be true, you may be truthful and right, but the interview panel may not completely accept it. There is an element that the IAS gives you prestige in society. It opens so many doors. It gives you a wide variety of experience, which probably no other profession or job can give. So, while your public service is an important goal, there's no harm in mentioning the prestige associated with the service, the variety of experience and the cross-sectoral experience which the IAS gives. But this is true of the IAS and a little bit of it's true of the IPS, but not so much of the other central services because they are more specialized. And the level of public interaction which the civil services give, all civil services and particularly the IAS gives, that is unmatched. It's unparalleled in any other job. You can also say that you want to bring in engineers and doctors, you have a specialized expertise. It would be good to say that that specialized expertise you would like to put it at the service of the public at large, instead of merely a limited clientele which you will otherwise cater to. So these are some of the things which top of the head I can tell you. But be honest about it. There's no harm in admitting that the prestige attracts you. It's not the money because there's very little of that. So the respect which you get in society, the recognition which you get, that is, and the prestige associated with the service, these are also good motivators, acceptable motivators.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for answer. So do we have any other questions?
I have, ma'am.
Adarsh.
What is the best about the preparation of UPSC after graduation or after 12th?
Its level of competition is so high, I can't say. You need to have a basic undergraduate degree. You can start preparing anytime. I started preparing, frankly speaking, only after I completed my post-graduation. That is my MA. I completed my MA, got into IIT Madras, started doing a PhD, found that they did not have a guide who could guide me in my particular subject, because it was a technological institute and my interest was in humanities and social sciences. Then I started preparing. But when I did prepare, it was very intensive. I used to work very hard. So it is good enough if you start after your, in the final year of your undergrad. I would say it is good enough. But again, it's after all a competitive exam. It all depends on how the other competitors do. So really the sky is the limit, because there's no fixed syllabus, and literally it can be anything. You will be questioned mostly on that year of preparation year, especially during the personality test. They will ask you about things which happened in the last 6 to 9 months or so. So you should be very well versed regarding that. But last year of undergrad should be enough, in my estimation, given my with my experience. People may do more or less. Really don't.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for answering his queries. So as we are running short of time, again, if there is any question, we'll ask one more question and then we'll wind up. Shravanti, do you want to ask any question?
Yeah, ma'am. It's something related to women, ma'am, completely. You got selected in 1987, correct, ma'am?
Yeah.
Those days, people itself, they won't encourage women to go to school, they won't encourage to higher studies. How your parents encouraged you, how you motivated yourself? Those days, we don't have that much technology to go further, ma'am. So how you motivated yourself, ma'am, those days?
See, the thing is, we have to go a little, Shravanti, we have to go a little more into the past than that. There was no real obstruction or objection within the family for entering the IAS. The real trouble had come earlier than that, and I have narrated this in the past. I completed my undergraduation in 1983, and my family always encouraged education. Right? It's a family where it was very important that we are all well educated, and so I had grown up with this understanding that I would do an MA, a master's. That was very much on the cards. I had taken it for granted. But what happened when I was doing my BA final exams? I was actually preparing for my finals at that time. And one of my uncles, he wanted to get me married. He suddenly got this idea that no, we should get he took upon himself the responsibility of getting me married. And much as my parents had prized education, we had another custom or practice in the family, which is deference to elders. And this was my eldest uncle, my father's eldest brother. So they immediately deferred. Like there was no rebuttal from my parents. So when he said get her married and he started making preparations for that, there was no real objection from their side. And I was horrified. I was aghast because I had never imagined that, there would be a possibility that I would not do my MA. And I remember that I used to be preparing for my BA finals at that time, and I got on well with my parents, and I was a obedient child, so to say. But this time I really put my foot down, and I used to come running out of my room in the middle of my finals preparation, and I want to do my MA. I must do my MA. I must do my MA. And my horizons were, so it is short neck syndrome. No, that was the extent of my horizon, that I needed to do a master's. I could not imagine a life without doing a master's degree. And fortunately, my insistence prevailed over my uncles, and my parents gave in, and I did complete my MA. And then I got into IIT Madras, and I got into IAS. There was no murmur from the family at that time. My uncle had completely given up his efforts. And then I did one more master's, and then a third master's. And then I did my PhD, and I did get married as well. So we satisfied that part of the deal.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So it does happen in everyone's life that there will be, sometimes some incident where you'll have to put your foot down. So getting into the IAS for me was, not so much. It was more a matter of chance. That when I found that IIT Madras did not have a guide who could guide me in my particular area, I just did take that bold decision of moving out of IIT, which is a very difficult decision to take. And I had stood All India first in that research admission examination. It's called CERA, Common Examination for Research Admission. I did take the decision of stepping out and getting into the IAS. So it happens, but in your mind and your heart where you have to take a stand.
Yeah, ma'am. Correct. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Again, you're very good in academics, and it's really good to see you are an inspiration for all the girls of India who had take the stand in boys also. Yeah. I mean, in
Boys,
1957, yeah, I understand. It would have been really very difficult. Even now, it is difficult for women, but that time again, it was very much difficult. So, yeah, Shravanti is also married. She's having kid. Vidya Shri is also married. She's having also.
I can see the little baby there on her profile photograph.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, thank you so much, ma'am, for your pearls of wisdom. And as a small token of gratitude, we'd like to give you this book that is Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant. It is written by Anil
Yeah.
Suri, sir.
Thank
He's
you so much.
Secretary of Government of India. He's retired, 1981 batch IAS officer. And as a small token of appreciation, this it's an antique piece, which is
Thank
a
you so much.
yeah,
Very kind.
for
Thank you
Diwali.
so much. Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah,
Very kind.
we'll be sending you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and please come on the camera, all of you, so that we can have a photograph.
Yeah. I was missing seeing Joker and Rosemary and Samrat Ashok.
Okay. We'll take a photograph with madam. So, ma'am, when the lockdown is over, please come to the institute and interact
Sure.
with
Sure.
us.
I'll be happy to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wish you all the very best and let me know when you clear the civils.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
All the best.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your pearls of wisdom, and I wish you all the best. May you reach more heights in your career, and our students should also do good in their examination.
Thank you. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. All the very best. Thank you.
Thanks for arranging, ma'am.